Hey everyone, this is Lisa Baudouin. Welcome to Lisa's chat room. Today is October 12th, 2023. I'm going to have a conversation about what I do, how I handle coming home after being out and exposed to different types of chemicals that get onto my clothes that I've cleaned, and yet they're all over me again. But before I begin, I'm going to disclose to you I'm not an expert in anything, so anything I share with you, if you try it, use it, or buy it, you do so at your own risk and peril. So here's the conversation. First of all, when the building inspector was here checking out the fence, wind was kind of blowing towards me from him, and I really was allergic to whatever he had on. And so I mentioned it to him. I've seen him enough, talked to him a couple times, felt comfortable enough to say, listen, I'm really allergic to whatever you're using. And I just quickly explained my issue. And, it was really nice because what he said was, I get that. I understand it, because he said he's been studying lead. And he said lead-based paint works much the same way. Back in the day, they used to use lead-based paint on everything, outside and inside, and it was very sweet tasting. So kids used to lick the walls, and then it would chip off in the window frames, and kids would eat the chips because they tasted so sweet. And then what happened? Yeah, then they realized this was a health hazard to children and to people in general, but mainly to children, especially to children's developmental brains. So they banned it. Anything that's from older than 1978, you really aren't supposed to say on by law. So point is, getting back to that inspector, he was really copacetic with me because he's like, this is exactly how lead-based paint it travels. Well, that's how this stuff works too. These chemicals that are in the new imported clothing, not all of them, but a lot of them, and also in certain laundry soaps. Now, you may think to yourself, you know what, she's just trying to tell me what to do. Because after that, what happened was I had two people come into my home, and right before I got sick, one was a professional person fixing something and one was a friend, and they were all over my house. They both used the same stuff, which is surprising. Because I did ask, I said, what do you use? Just out of curiosity. If I can find something that I'm not allergic to, I feed that into my database and I can cross off those chemicals that are in other products so I can say, okay, that's not the chemical I'm allergic to. I'm probably allergic to a cluster of chemicals, including formaldehyde and all these other things. And it's more of a sinus issue too. I will be making a video. It will be how to create a Google Sheet playbook plan playlist for this, and I will put all the stuff that I've done so far, but I'm also going to put in more research of what I'm doing and then understanding it, and also trying to figure out why we're not being warned about this. Because I think what's going to happen is the same thing that happened with lead-based paint. I think so many sensitivities and issues, and they're going to figure out it's from this stuff. There's lots of medical research that's being done, dermatitis and rhinitis and all these issues, especially the dermatitis. You have this on your skin and you start to itch. But I've even noticed that people that use this stuff, they can't seem to sit still. Okay, I did notice that with this person that came over. This one person, she just couldn't sit still. With those two people that came in, the first person was really cool about it. They're like, oh, wow, I didn't know. The second person was not so cool about it. They said, you're over dramatizing. And I'm like, no, I'm not. So how do I explain this to people? Say you're allergic to cats. And so say your friend comes over and they have 20 cats with them and they leave them here. Really, because there's cat dander everywhere. So that's really what it's like if someone comes in my home. Now say I go out there, okay? I go out, say I go to church and I sit down on a pew. Well, guess what? If I'm allergic to cats, say there's been like 50 cats there and they're all sitting next to me. 50 to 100 cats are sitting next to me all over the place. Probably on the seat that I've been on, they're everywhere. Now say I go to the doctor's office and get a blood draw. So I sit in the waiting room, I'm sitting on a seat, that's full of cat dander and there's tons of cats. Then I go in and get the blood draw, that chair has cat dander. So I am just constantly being exposed. And the problem is, it's just like lead. It gets onto my clothing, it gets into my hair, and I carry it home. That is the problem. That is part of the problem. So the first problem, of course, is keeping it out of my house. The second is getting it out of my house once it's in here. But the next part is, how do I keep it from getting back in here? So this is what I'm going to tell you now. So what I do is, first of all, in my car, I really clean the upholstery with an upholstery brush. And then I put plastic down and I used upholstery covers for the back seat and the front seats. So that way, if I do get any exposure, like say it's an emergency and I have to have someone in my car, I can clean that up pretty easily. It wipes off pretty easily. It doesn't seep into the seat because it will seep into the cushion. It seeps down and deep into your cushions, into your mattress. As a matter of fact, I talked to a gal. She was kind of in tears because she said she's been vacuuming her mattress. She thought maybe she had bed bugs, and she just feels this horrible tingling, pricking, allergic response. And I'm like, it could be this. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell her for sure. But so what I did with my mattress is I put a mattress protective plastic on it so that if I do lay in bed, it doesn't seep into the mattress, because to try to get it out of that mattress that's where the time is really spent. So I did that with my car. Now, the other thing I do is I try to plan my day where if I go to the store and I don't sit down and I'm in and out, I'm fairly okay, usually. But if I'm sitting down at restaurants or I'm out at work or whatever it is, and what I will do is take a shower instantly when I come home. Now, when I go into the bathroom, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my hair and condition it right away. And I have this huge thick comb, and what I do is when I got the conditioner in, I use this comb, and then I rinse the conditioner out and I rinse the comb out. Always do your head first and your face, and then work your way down your body, because you don't want to leave the conditioner in your hair and then wash your body and then rinse it out. You want to rinse it out of your hair because it's in your hair. It really is. It gets in your hair. It gets everywhere. So you want to rinse that out. And then I'll put on my, what I call my house clothes. And my house clothes, I do keep my house clothes in one drawer in my bedroom. And those are clothes that I know for sure doesn't have anything in them. Here's the thing. I know because I'm sensitive, so I will know. There is a point where I'm going to a doctor next month and I'm thinking, I want to get this fixed. But I really wish I had like a little switch where I could turn it on and off and say, okay, is it in my house? Because I don't want it in my house. And the problem is once I get desensitized, if I get cured, I won't know, right? But I will still follow this pattern as much as possible to reduce any type of chemical exposure. So anyway, point is I put my pajamas on, or my house clothes, whatever you want to call it, and then I can sit on my couch, my chairs, whatever, and I'm good for the rest of the day. Before I take a shower, what I do is I come down here, and now I have a system for washing clothes. Now there's a difference between brand new clothes that I bought and I'm treating and getting out the formaldehyde, and clothes that are already done and clean and that I've used, but I've gone out somewhere and I have to now wash them and get that formaldehyde out. So this is what I do. I change into this frock. It's just a little one piecer, and I put this on. Then what I've done is I've set this up, and I actually would like to get one more. I've got a bin here, and this is where I vacuum. I vacuum things over this, and I would like to get one that's actually like a trash can, but this size. This is a perfect size. Okay, and what I do, the tape came off. I was like, what was that noise? I heard noise down here. I have this tape down here. I'll tape it again. But what I do is I have this here, and I open it up, and this is where I vacuum. I'll vacuum it, and I'll put it in here. Then I'll vacuum that and put it in here. Then I'll vacuum this, and I'll put it in the wash machine. Now, if I feel like there's anything on it, I will spritz it with some glass cleaner to pre-treat it before I wash it. I wash everything in hot, but I make sure I separate everything. Blacks only, whites only. Especially do not mix your reds or purples or anything like that, your blues. Keep them all separate, wash them individually, right? So then I'll wash it, and I actually now I don't really have to use that much chemical because I've vacuumed them out, which is good. I'm not using a whole heck of a lot of water and a whole heck of a lot of chemical. Instead, I'm vacuuming it out because it just makes more sense. It's a powder. This resin has turned down into a powdery form. Usually by the time it's on that type of clothes, it's broken down into a powder. So I just need to vacuum it out. So I'll wash it, And I actually just put it through 2 cycles usually. And then I'll put it in my dryer and I'll spritz it with the distilled vinegar. I use my dryer balls and I will dry it. I will also vacuum it again, put it on top of the dryer and vacuum that again, and then put it away. I know you're probably saying, that's a lot of work. And it is. It is a lot of work if you wait and do it like, if you don't do your laundry every couple of days, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work. In time, it really isn't that much work. You get used to doing it. And I really vacuum vigorously too. I mean, I like really take and, hit into the clothes and knock the stuff into here. Now, I've taped this so that the powder doesn't go in here. The powder will land in here and you can kind of see it sometimes. Now, I do also vacuum dryer vent. I vacuum that. I don't take it and bring it over there. I vacuum it very slowly here. And I also purchased these things here. This is a vacuum hose, and I'll do a video on this too. This is a vacuum hose for the vent. It goes all the way down into the vent. That's really nice. And here's a brush. Once I'm done with these, I really clean them out and I hang them up for a little bit to let them dry. Do that probably once a week. I clean out the dryer every single time, but I also only use this for this operation. Okay, that's what I call it, an operation. So that's what I do here. So this needs to be vacuumed again. Here's the thing, I can sense if it's still on there. So I can vacuum it as much as is needed until the stuff is out. Now for brand new clothing, it's completely different. I really saturate it with glass cleaner, especially the zippers, hemlines. I use the borax, I'll use ammonia, I'll pre-treat it in here. And this is a great little wash machine because what I can do is I can wash and rinse, wash and rinse, wash and rinse. And I will do that over and over and over. I'll wash and rinse and then I'll let it spin and then I will spritz it again, depending upon the fabric. Now, with something like this is a little bit thicker fabric. Something like this is going to take a little bit more. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get in here and I'm going to spritz that with glass cleaner. I'm going to rub it in. I always use my rubber gloves when I'm doing that. I'm going to kind of rub it in and get it in there. Throw it in there. Let it sit for a couple hours. Because what it's doing, I think, and again, I'm not an expert, but I think what it's doing is it's melting that resin. Then I'll put hot water in and that helps pull it away. When I'm done washing it in there, I'll put it in here. I know you're like, what? No, I love this thing. And actually, I like this thing better than I like that thing. This has the wash here and a centrifuge here. And sometimes I'll even take stuff out of the big wash machine and I'll throw it in here because it really dries it. I mean, it's almost dry when it's done. What I'll do is I will, again, put it in here. And I think I actually have something, see? I just like this better and it's got a real good agitator. And then I will spin it and I'll do this a couple times too. And again, for me, if I sense it, well, then I know I need to do it more. For you, you're going to just have to gauge. I would estimate maybe you would do this, wash and rinse at least 5 or 6 times and then maybe in here 5 or 6 times. Honestly, seriously, because it's so embedded and it depends on the type of fabric. If you have a terry cloth towel, I would do a lot because it's really in towels and zippers, shoestrings, terribly in shoestrings. Shoes I've purchased, especially tennis shoes, and I vacuum those tennis shoes vigorously to get that out. I spritz them down with glass cleaner, vacuum, spritz them with glass cleaner, and then I will very gently wash them. Those are, you don't want to put them in the wash machine. I'll wash them by hand with really hot water, soak them a little bit, take them out, dry them completely, and vacuum them off. And that seems to do it, but there are times that it's really tough to get it out, especially when you're buying the nylon shoes. It's really difficult. So anyway, once I'm done washing, I will take my hose, and that's why I really needed this setup. And I know it looks crazy, but it works great. This is an extra hose. So I can actually reach this over here and rinse out my wash basin, and I can rinse this one out too. And I can even rinse that one out. We'll wipe down this as well, and then I'll start over again. So again, how I handle brand new clothing is completely different than I handle clothing that's already been conditioned, I call it. I don't know a name for it yet. I haven't figured that out. The other thing I'm going to be doing is, here I have my cubbies. I'm actually going to take, here, this is really nice. I tape these together to make a little closet. And then I have this pipe. Guy at Menards cut this for me. This is just a pipe from you can buy it for like a porch. And he cut it in half for me, which is great. So, but what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to partition this off, because the other day I put something away and guess what? It was in there and it had stuff on it yet. So now I got to go through all that again. The more you partition it off when that happens, if you have the sensitivities, you know, you won't know if you don't have sensitivities, but if you have the sensitivities, that may be something you want to do, is just partition off your stuff. And all you have to do really is take like a plastic hanger and just take a plastic garbage bag, unscented, and just hang it over that and have it where it's partitioned off. And that's what I'm going to do in the next week or so. And then in here, what I do is I usually have like bins. And I keep my socks, like my dark socks are in a bin, my white socks are in a bin. So if something gets on there, I don't get it out enough, I'm not washing all of them. I'm just doing them. I'll vacuum them first really good before I wash them. It just made more sense. It's actually not that time consuming, to be honest. I usually spend, once you get caught up and you get into a rhythm, I usually spend 2 hours every other day down here, maybe. What's most difficult is getting it out of the blankets. So really making sure that you don't put on clothing or have clothing on that, you know, especially with the sensitivity. And I'm talking to people that have the sensitivity right now. What's most important is try to wear your house clothes that are completely free. Make sure you take that shower before you change into house clothes, and make sure you wash your hair and condition it first and get it out completely before you put on your house clothes. Okay, that'll minimize it. And don't come down here until the next day. And then what I do is, once I'm done, I clean up everything. You know, I clean the dryer too, by the way. I clean out the dryer every time I use it. I use my duster. Works perfectly. I'll use the duster. Sometimes I'll just use my vacuum, the brush. And I'll do that first, and then I'll use the duster. When I'm vacuuming, I do like 2 or 3, and then I'll clean this out. 2 or 3, and then clean this out. Again, I can tell when it's on something. What I want to do is I want to get one that's deeper, because I think what happens is it kind of comes back up. So I want it where it just falls down into the bottom and I can clean it up that way. This is a little too short. I need it deeper. So, but then once I'm done, then what I do is I clean everything up, and I even vacuum this off. And then I go upstairs and I take a shower and I get into my house clothes, or if I'm leaving, I put on regular clothes. You know, I'll grab my clothes and go upstairs and change after my shower, after I get it out of my hair. You got to get it out of your hair because it gets in your hair. It feels like sand in my hair. But that's it for this video. I hope it's helped. I've tried to explain everything I can because I know it's really difficult. I will be making a video with a playbook plan. It'll be a Google Sheet, and I'm going to put down everything that I do so that you can see, you can make your own list. You can be able to make your own Google Sheet. I'll show you how to do that as we go. That will be the next video in this series. So, but please make sure you comment if you have any questions or anything like that, so I can make another video prior to that. And also too, please subscribe, share, and click that like button so I know that I'm actually, you know, people are actually listening and they're actually taking note of this, okay? So with that, make sure you stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again next time in Lisa's chat room.